The battle for the mind of North America will be fought in the video arena. The television screen is the retina of the mind's eye. Therefore, the television screen is part of the physical structure of the brain.
All right, welcome to episode 23. We are still on the tail end of Japan. My favorite sushi slopper, Jason, is here.
Hello.
Tonight we're covering Gunhed, the awesome movie from 1989. Before I get too far into it, this movie is more popular than something we would typically talk about, except for the longest time it just wasn't accessible. And in some ways it still isn't now.
I just had a hell of a time trying to find some way of watching this that wasn't, Japanese or German.
Well, exactly. And so that's kind of the problem. When I originally found out about this, the earlier mid-90s, I got an X rental tape. Did you guys have X rental tapes? Was that a thing in Canada?
Yeah, like the rental stores would sell their tapes.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my entire VHS collection as a kid, were all X rentals. And we've talked about it before, but I got a copy of Guyver, which was also called Mutronics. In those X rentals, a lot of them had trailers at the front. All of them had trailers, right? And Gunhed was a trailer at the front of this. And the trailer was awesome, and the music was awesome. But I could never find the movie after that. And it wasn't until 2004 there was a DVD release of this movie. But it wasn't really a real release. Like, once I got it, it cost me a bit of money, and I finally got it. And it was just, a tape of a telecine from some, previous recording version. It wasn't a resto or anything. Yeah. Could have been a copy off a VCD, who knows. But then the Blu-ray came around, and unfortunately the Blu-ray has no subtitles and no dubbing. So it looks great, but we're still kind of a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it's a Japanese Blu-ray, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So my history with this show, and like when you first brought it up, it was like I was trying to remember if I ever actually saw it or not, because I have the Viz comic book, the first issue. There's 3 issues to this thing. I only ever got the first one, and it's just an adaptation of the movie.
You're my favorite nerd. You know
that? Well, I showed you. I've got it. I'm so thrilled that I found it. That
so great.
I happened to have it in the house and it's not in storage. And it was like, there it is. And I got to reread it. And then I flipped through, because for a little while there I was thinking, is the movie an adaptation of a manga? No, it's the other way around. So Viz it was back in the day when they would do like full translations and reverse them. Oh. So I could read this thing left to right.
Oh, wow.
Instead
cool.
of most of the time they're right to left nowadays.
Sure.
Yeah, but back then they would actually, because it's like, I think all movie producers think that Americans are stupid, so they just like go overboard on their translation, which is why Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone instead of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which is what it's called everywhere else in the world.
Right.
Same idea. They just didn't trust anyone to read right to left. Instead of just translating the word balloons and the text in the panels, back in the day, they would flip the whole thing.
Wow. They would bind the book, like print it the other way entirely.
Exactly.
Huh.
So you would read you could read the thing left to right. My favorite of all of them is still Epic Comics, when they did their translation and color version of Akira, of the entire series. I've got the whole thing.
Because those were black and white originally, right?
They were originally black and white, and that's the only way you can get it now. So if you want it in color, you have to have the original. Like Epic was a Marvel imprint. And,
I assume you have both versions.
No, only the color ones. So only the ones I originally bought.
Yeah.
But there you go. So anyway, I have the comic to this, and it was, so I could not, and I still don't know, having watched the movie, if I watched it in 89 or 90 or not. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was just like staring at the poster in the back of the comic too much because I have a massive crush on Brenda Baki, or if it's just like, I don't know. But
this is one of the rare cases where the movie is the first installation of the IP, which is very rare in so many ways.
Mm-hmm. I should start by saying this, Sam. I'm sorry, this is not a good movie.
Dude,
I still loved every second of it.
okay, all right, I'll accept that because I think it's a great movie. It has a lot of problems, but
It has a lot of problems.
yeah. So this is directed by Masato Harada.
Or in the version I watched, Alan Smithy.
I was gonna get yes, nice.
Oh, you're gonna get to that?
No,
Okay.
that was the next thing I was gonna say because this is the
There you
classic moment of, and I don't know where that happens or why. At some point, he wanted to pull himself out of the English version of it or something. I don't really understand the reasoning of the translation of why he's credited on this, but then the Alan Smithy version shows up. It was interesting. I never could find out why, but.
Okay, so it's not Alan Smithy anywhere else. It's just on the English dub release.
Yeah, like he's credited on IMDb, the whole thing, like, it's there. Unless at the time he pulled himself off it and then later became proud of it or something. I don't know. But again, the version we watched is most likely the 2004 DVD copy,
Right.
which we found was at Daily Motion or Internet Archive.
No, it wasn't. Internet Archive was down. I don't remember. It was a site I'd never heard of before. Happened to have the whole movie. It's compressed. The beginning of it is just this compressed the snot out of.
It's crushed on some like old Winx player or something like that. But it feels like a rip.
Macro blocking is brutal.
Yeah, it feels like a VCD, a 90s VCD rip or something like that. But it goes back to the point. It's like this is the perfect movie. Like if there was a proper Blu-ray, even with the poor English dub, I'd still be over it. And I like dubbing, and I know this is probably one of the worst offenders of dubbing. I would just love a proper English subtitle version of this movie because watching the Japanese one, just the inflections and stuff are so much better. Like it pumps the movie up a notch or two compared to the cornball English dubbing. And I don't use cornball very often, so
No, that's a good way of describing this. I mean, I actually have a note that this reminds me of the original Akira translation. Like the one that was in movie theaters in the 80s, along with the VHS copy.
Yeah, it's the only one
by
I
the time
saw.
It made it to DVD, maybe it was Blu-ray. They had an American distributor had redubbed it.
Oh, okay.
And so they had retranslated it and stuff because the original translation I know was done by the Japanese, and whoever did it just doesn't have a great working knowledge of English.
Right.
And like there'd be at one point it's like, "Oh, you pea brain," and things like that. And this movie, it felt very much the same to me.
There's
like
a lot of those.
The Japanese dubbed it themselves using just ridiculous words.
Yeah. Back on the director, Masato Harada. So he's still cranking stuff out today. Any fan of Japanese cinema is going to cringe at me saying this, but I haven't seen anything else of his. I'll check some stuff out, but I never really decided or wanted to look into it too much knowing this. But here's a really interesting thing. He was originally a film critic for Japanese magazines, and he was known widely as the most severe social critic before he became a film director. I couldn't find out how he got into it. He was mentored by Howard Hawks. Howard Hawks was an incredible Western director, but you should know him as the director original Thing from Another World from 1951.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. So like John Carpenter's inspiration, everybody else, like wonderful director, but just a weird connection.
Let's talk about Texmexium.
Well, you did get a prologue at least right away.
Yeah,
and
yes.
God,
Yes, we do.
It's got to be my favorite name for a piece of rare ore in history of film.
God, I want a burrito right now.
It's just, I don't know. We get it. So we get a title card, and it's in the early 2030s. A new substance was found called Texmexium, believe it or not. And there's a lot of weird, heavy-handed American references in this. Like, the two kids I don't even want to talk about the kids because I hate kids in movies, but they're called 7 and 11. And there's a Pepsi machine. There's all sorts of stuff. This is that period where Japan is just America crazy, and
robotic Pepsi machine. Our main guy is called Brooklyn.
All the names. There's Boxer, Boomerang, Bombay, Bancho,
Babe.
Not Baba 2, unfortunately. My favorite little robot. God, I love that little robot. Yeah, this prologue goes on, and it says that this Texmexium was it allowed a new generation of supercomputers. It's some high conductive material, I guess. and there was a misuse.
Well, they also describe it as like an energy source or something at one point too, right? Like it's not clear.
No, it's not clear at all. And there's a huge supply of Texmexium that was kept under guard at this hypernuclear facility that power every major city. And there's a massive depletion of natural resources, which resulted in scarcity of materials to build computers. So now conductive plastics, computer chips, anything like that is now considered more valuable than gold or ore. So it's not only the material itself, it's the manufacturing process doesn't really exist anymore, I guess is the idea. So it's not like, oh, we just need this ore to make the chips. Now we can't make chips. So it's sort of built this, the way they set it up is they've built this new type of treasure hunter, these junkers that go out and they're just looking for chips and components because that's worth more than old gems or whatever else they were going to do, right?
It's not really explained why they're going to this island, though, because this island is the center of what turned everything to crap.
Yeah,
so,
it's also not clear why this island still exists. Like, because if this thing, so basically they set it up that there's this supercomputer that's on an island that's a big war was fought there, and the war almost failed, essentially, and the supercomputer won, and nobody's gone back since, but the threat that this supercomputer is apparently still going. I don't know. A lot of
well, it's gone. The idea is it's gone quiet. So these guys, these junkers or chip hunters, whatever, go flying there to get there, because they want to see what they can find. But it just makes no sense. Like you'd think, because it's been 10 or 20 years since anyone's gone to this island.
Yeah. So by the way,
and there was only a handful of families that lived on it to begin with.
By the way, we're still in the prologue here. This movie has 2 pages of opening prologue. This is just text. But yeah, it started to take place in 2005. And that was when this war broke out on this island. And they say that it was a facility made to manufacture advanced robots. And it had this central computer called Chiron 5. Humans became obsolete on July 4th, 2025. So this is closing in on Terminator because the revolution against Skynet happens in 2029. So,
there you go.
Chiron 5 declared war on the world, and a Gunhed battalion was dispatched to battle it, and the Great Robot War began. So this was a long-going war on that island, I guess. Don't know why.
Yeah, and humanity lost, basically. All their gunheads are destroyed, but then the computer just goes quiet.
Yeah, it wins and then it doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything, and nobody goes back.
No.
It's weird. There's no explanation or anything else. It's just that preamble.
And we get a little miniature action sequence, very much like the opening of Terminator. It's a future war, and there's soldiers and there's a gunhead, and they crash through a wall. And you sort of get the vibe of the whole movie that's to come. Awesome music. I love the music in this movie. It's like not quite James Horner steel drums, but it's like a synthesized James Horner score or something. It's very good.
Might explain why I didn't like it at all. The score was terrible.
Dude, I love this track. Oh, man. And it used to crank in that trailer, too. It was so good.
Yeah. So then we cut to this airplane, basically. All these guys are flying in because they're going to go basically raid this place and get what chips they can and get out.
Because it's now 13 years after this war.
Right. And nobody's gone back, though. So you'd think that if these chips were there, and that's what everyone's after, because that's the only thing that's worth any money, someone would have done this by now. But anyway, they go there, and then basically the rest of the movie, I don't understand a single thing that's going on.
We should talk about the ship because I love the production design in this movie in every way. The crew,
it's great.
The crew,
the miniatures are great. The set design, it's
just
all
the
really
characters
cool.
look cool too.
It's all very olive drab, green and gray and drab, but it works. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the ship they're in, it's very cool.
Sorry,
you're good. It's like based off like a B-17, but it's like a rocket ship as well. It's a super cool combo.
It is. It's kind of neat. And they're flying at night, so it's gray skies and stuff. I should note that I did have a note here about the battle sequence that happened before it, saying, really wish I could see what all this actually looked like, because it was nothing but white and gray blocks in the version
Yes,
I
the
saw.
version's a little crushed, but
Yeah, until the Gunhed logo comes up, and then it's like, and it all kind of works after that. But
yeah, it's some bad compression on that version.
But it makes me think it was probably pretty cool from what I saw later in the movie, because like I said, some of the sets look great.
It's great.
The miniature stuff look amazing. I actually had to remind myself this had to be miniatures.
Yeah, and you know the color tone and everything. You're right. We'll get to it later, but you probably get a massive Metal Gear Solid vibes throughout this whole movie.
Oh, this heavily influenced Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
In fact, I did read that Brenda Baki's character was translated directly into another Metal Gear Solid character.
Yes, she was.
Holly White.
Yes.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yes.
Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, the character portrait for Holly White is based on Brenda Baki and Gunhed, as should everything, because that woman is perfection.
I didn't know and never got a chance to play Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake because it was on like some international console. It was but the original I played, of course, and then on regular Nintendo and NES, and then obviously the installments across the PlayStations. But it was cool that there was inspiration here for that character, and when you see the little pixel art of the character Holly White with the headset, you can tell clearly it's like straight up inspiration from Nim is the name of her character in this movie. So there's one component. So yeah, they're flying in this B-17, and you get this quick character introduction. And there's one line here that says, we're introduced to Brooklyn, who's the hero. Shouldn't be a pilot the way they talk about it. And like they say, there's a discussion that basically says like, he should be the pilot. He's just a mechanic, but he still has to learn. And later through the movie, there's these unclear references to him not being able to pilot anything for some reason.
Well, this is where it helps, having read the comic, is that they say that he gets sick whenever he flies.
There you
whenever
go.
He pilots, it makes him sick. So, which doesn't really come out in the movie.
Dude, I knew you were going to come through with the goods on reading this comics. That's great.
Well, and it's the comic covers about the first third of a movie, and it's a 3-issue series, so that's why. But and it lines up pretty much perfectly. There is just a tiny bit in there, but I read the whole thing in about 5 minutes, because there'll be 6 or 8 pages of just like the whole preamble at the start, the fight scenes and stuff like that is all just, it's like 4 pages long of boom, bang, bam.
See, that's kind of the complete opposite of this movie, because the movie moves, and I like things that move quick, but it almost moves too quick. Like, we see all the characters on the plane, and everybody looks cool and it's set up well, but they don't spend any time there. And now we're just on the ground. Like, you compare that to like Aliens, because as we'd say, this movie's heavily influenced by Aliens and Terminator. The drop sequence scene in Aliens, you get a great character introduction, and they just don't spend the time doing that. And everybody here is valid enough and, interesting enough where it'd be fine, but they just blow right by it.
They keep all their guns in the fridge. I mean, that's kind of cool alone, but they don't do anything else with it other than show you the guns are kept in the fridge. Yeah,
it's kind of weird. So they get out on the floor, the floor of this island, the ground of this island, and we learn there's this tower. It's a big pyramid map painting. All looks cool. And we learn there's 400 floors, and the supercomputer Chiron 5 is on, surprise, floor 390. But they set it up really quick. And straight from there, they discover there's a helicopter wrecked, and they mention, oh, these are Texas Air Rangers. And so it's kind of a fresh crash, too. The chopper's on fire. Like, it's a recent, we don't really know why they're there or anything, but we get some great music again. I know you don't like it. And they're inside the facility, and they're exploring, and it just looks cool. There's miniatures. All the sets are so good.
Yeah, the production design's quite good. I never did understand why those Texas Rangers were there. Like, did I just miss something?
No,
or do they just okay?
I couldn't tell you why. I have no idea why they were there. I have to assume they're looking for Texmexium because they're from Texas, but I couldn't really say. But immediately
for a good Chipotle sauce.
Except immediately they're looking for more land to put another Buc-ee's on.
Buc-ee's one day.
We should go do an episode from Buc-ee's.
Oh, that's a good idea. Road trip.
That'd be great. So we're immediately inside this facility and they're walking around. They're all carrying their guns. Again, it looks just like aliens. There's ragtag squad and a giant soda machine just it flings out. I don't know why it comes like sliding at them or whatever, but it's
the choice of a new generation, though.
It flings out a can of Pepsi, which is better, far superior than Coke. And so
I would normally tell you you're wrong, but I actually do prefer Pepsi over Coke.
I know it's the better one.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's just sweeter.
It's smoother.
And,
it's good.
And I have a sweet tooth.
And there's one of the guys just says Robo-Cola, and Brooklyn says Robo-Cola Pepsi Top. It was produced in 2023. It's precious. And then they crack a can of Pepsi.
Yeah, in my notes, just sweet product placement.
Yeah. But again, heavy on the American stuff. This is like, I don't know if this is all a thing of like the plan to cater for an international release or something, and they're really doubling down on this, or if it's just like a fan type thing. I'm not sure.
I have to assume it is, because it just the only way it explains most of the names. Like Brooklyn is literally only called Brooklyn because he's wearing a Dodgers jersey.
Yeah, which you learn later from Gunhed that he actually knows nothing about baseball. Although Gunhed is a baseball historian. the
Yes.
Tank knows this.
We should. Yeah. Gunhed is an artificially intelligent tank we'll get there, but they resurrect him and is a bit of a wise ass.
So they're walking along and then they step over this like dying soldier who is presumably a Texas Ranger, and they don't really pay attention to any of them, but they just step past him and he's like squirming and he's in pain or whatever. Nobody looks at him or anything, but we get this great isometric top-down map painting, and with the color and the tone and the vibe, this is one of those first top-down shots too, where you're just like, this is Metal Gear. Like, this is 100%. It just has that feeling, and you see the inspiration where it came from it.
It's like when I may have brought this up before, but when I was playing Halo with my son for the first time, and then we were playing through it, and I said, "Oh, dude, I have to show you Aliens now." And we're watching the movie, and he's just like, "Wow, like they stole all this from Halo." I'm like, "No, it's the other way around, bud."
Yeah, it's funny.
This movie came out 5 years before Halo did. He's like, "Oh,
right," but it's
like, yeah,
what he knows is what he thinks is the previous thing. Exactly,
the first thing he played.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. So
yeah, they all jump in an elevator again. Great miniatures. There's an elevator, the miniature, and Brooklyn starts talking about, hey, like there's a gunhead here because there was a big battalion of them, right? And he's like, we could sell this. This is a plot device. He's like, we could sell the gunhead for more than any of these computer chips they were after. But everybody just says, the gunhead's too big. It's too heavy to move. Even if you could get it working, it could fetch you a good price, but it's just, there's no logistics in getting it off the island or moving it. And then our other buddy in the elevator says, "Get out of here, you sushi slopper."
Yeah, that comes up a couple times.
What is this line? I remember this line from when I first watched this, when I got the DVD, and I thought it was just something going way over my head, but there's no reference to this anywhere else in history other than this movie, but it's used in a derogatory term, but we never actually find out what it is. But
yeah, I don't know, because it's like, if the tables were turned and this was an American movie and you were calling a Japanese guy this, that would just be a racist comment.
Yes, but it doesn't even mean anything.
Instead, it's just it's just like this weird. I think it was just someone just thought, well, this sounds like an insult. We'll just use it, and someone without a real in-depth knowledge of English.
And yeah, he says it in a very derogatory way, but it's becomes his tagline. I think it's Bombay who says it. I may be wrong. I may be wrong who it is. I'm not going to bother with names on this because it's so hard to match actors with names in this because so many of them aren't in other stuff. So it was very hard. But
and there's really only the 3 or 4 of them that matter.
Yeah, because they all
you've got Brooklyn, you've got Nim, Bebe because of what happens to Bebe or Babe.
Brooklyn refers to him as both. He says Bebe once, and then another time he says Babe. So.
Oh, there you go.
So that's confusing.
Probably Bebe, and then the abbreviation is Babe.
So this is a funny moment after he gets the sushi sloppers line. Brooklyn, I think it's Bombay again, turns around, he opens a cigarette tin, And then Brooklyn turns around and opens a tin and pulls like a piece of sliced carrot out and chomps on it.
Yes. Yes.
And that becomes his thing throughout the movie. He just like, anytime he wants to take a break, he like pulls a tin out and pulls a piece of carrot out and like munches on it. They're trying to have a character moment, but I don't know. It just comes off weird.
It's not the only thing that comes across weird on this.
No, because then the elevator floor explodes and everybody just starts shooting. Somebody gets impaled. It's like,
yeah, the impale is kind of cool. I should say it's barbarous or whatever, right? The guy who gets impaled is the black guy who was on the poster.
Yes.
And he's only in the movie for 12 minutes. Right. I found that kind of funny, but yeah, it's just out of nowhere. All this action starts. We don't know why. There's some talk at some point about bioroids or something.
Yeah, there's a discussion about biodroids, but here's the first taste in this movie, I think, is which we come across a lot of, which there's stuff happening, but there's no real sense of screen direction, and you don't know why it's happening. And, you know, I could talk about it later, but I basically feel like there's a lot of this movie that is like second unit or B-roll of like little practical gags of explosions and things happening, but you never get this pulled back wide shot of understanding what's happening and where it's coming from. And I don't know if this is by at the end of the shoot, they just didn't have the stuff or the coverage they wanted and they had to cut around stuff, or things were dropped out, or, you know, you never even know. Maybe there was another character that they wanted to remove entirely and you have to cut all around it. But it feels strange, but it does feel like a bit of a flaw, and it's common throughout the movie. As good as it looks, you just don't know why things are happening.
Yeah, and again, and I don't know if that's, like you're saying, if that's a script issue or what, but it's just, I spend the whole movie going, I don't understand what's going on. It almost doesn't matter, though, for the most part.
No.
Because it's more just an excuse for some of these action sequences. Yeah, there's something else I'll say, but we'll get to it when we get to the end.
So after this elevator fight, we meet Sergeant Nim, who is
the lovely, the beautiful, the perfect Brenda Bach.
So I'm glad you said, because I could never pronounce her last name. It was like Baka. I don't know. So
I didn't know what it was. I went on a deep dive last night and found an interview with her where they called her Brenda Bach.
So I remember her, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Obviously from Gunhed, but her first credit,
Hot Shots Part 2, is where you're going to know her from.
Exactly. So I did a little bit of looking into it, and so 1986 was her first role, and it was a comedy called Last Resort. Then Gunhed in 89, she did a big TV run, CSI, NYPD Blue, like Grey's Anatomy, all this stuff into the later years. But I should back up because there's three of my favorite things she's in. She's in 1994. She's in an episode of Briscoe County Jr.
God, I love that show.
Great movie. Great show. 1995, we all know her as Cordelia from Demon Knight, Tales from the Crypt. Billy Zane's best performance, William Sadler, God, just great ensemble. And then she rolls heavy the same year into that as Captain Linda Gilder in Under Siege 2. Awesome movie.
God, I'm not an Under Siege fan.
I'm just a cook.
But then she's Lana Turner in LA Confidential, and she's kind of doing that in Gunhed. So she's very much trying to talk like Lana Turner through this.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't seen LA Confidential. Yeah,
it just makes me think that she probably got the role because someone saw her in Gunhed.
Yeah, because it was very early. It was her second or third role.
Yeah.
She's the Texas Ranger. She's there for some reason. We don't really know why. And
we also don't know why Texas Rangers are on an island off the coast of Japan, really, in the Pacific. So
yeah,
it's like, I think I read somewhere that they're essentially the world military police or world police or something, but that's not said anywhere in this movie that I got.
Yeah, there's like, it's weird. This kind of actually reminded me of Zeram here, because there's a bunch of like laser beams above them in the sky that pop up for no reason, and she throws an object into it and it fizzes out, and they're all like, it's an electro barrier, and people are like, it's all, one of the guys was like, it's all over the news. And she mentioned she's there because there was a bio droid that went crazy in Dallas and it made it all the way out here.
Oh, I missed that.
So, but it's
there you go.
You never really understand it why or after that, because we meet the bio droid, but like if this bio droid's on an island, like why would they even it just doesn't make any sense. Like, just leave it be here. And there's dips to black in this movie that feel like commercial breaks, but it's also time passes. And then they just start climbing this ladder. One of the soldiers just knocks her out. Like, he Vulcan neck pinches her for some reason. And she falls off a ladder. But I don't know why. Like, they've clearly established that they're friends, but I just don't know.
Yeah. I think one of them hits her with the butt of his gun or something, and that's what knocks her out. But the funny part is, in the comic book, she faints.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
could have been, yeah.
I don't know, because when they find her, she's injured.
Yes.
And so she's got something wedged into her shoulder. It's like a piece of metal or something. And then there's a Brooklyn, I think, pulls it out, and then she just basically like slaps him like super hard.
Yeah.
After he's done,
and this is
for no reason
because
either.
Like it's cut really poorly, but she wakes up and she escapes. And after this, and she goes on the run, but then there's these floating mines, these little orbs that float around, and they're all hiding from them.
I did not understand these
and avoiding them. And then Bombay stands up and he says, "Yeah, come on, you sushi sloppers!" And he starts shooting at him again. So he calls these landmine sushi sloppers and starts firing. Like, it's cool though, because he has like a real M16, like an A2 style. Like, it's like a classic like Predator style gun. It's got like the 20-inch barrel and the heat shroud, and there's just so much influence here from all these previous movies, you can tell. But I still just can't take him seriously when he's saying sushi sloppers. And like, I'm like, is there a translation? Was there something more derogative that was being said in the Japanese version, and this is the translation? I don't know.
But now I just also want sushi and a burrito.
So maybe that's a task for you, is you can pull up your Google, and I can send you my Blu-ray, and you can pull up your phone and translate when he says sushi slopper and see what the subtitle says. Because it's got Japanese subtitles. You might be able to get something better.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. You could probably just snap a picture for every single piece of dialogue that pops up as a subtitle till I find it. But,
yeah. I don't know. And they're just
fun.
running around, like they're split up in two groups, and they're avoiding these flying mines. And
they're out over this water that's got a grid across it for some reason.
This is where it's
of walkways, really
not clear.
And there's a single crystal in the middle of it.
Yeah, so they get to this. They open this blast door, and we get a level title, like a Chiron comes up, and it says level 390. So I was like, wait, we're 23 minutes into the movie, just outside the pyramid. They're like, the Chiron 5 reactor is on level 390. And now they tell us we're on 390.
Yeah, maybe. I should point out that Chiron 5 looks an awful lot like the MCP from Tron as well. It's just like this round thing with these long streaks of light.
The thing is that it says we're on 390, and then we see them there. So we know they're up on 390. I don't know why we're here so quickly. I'm not sure. But Nim...
I don't think it matters.
Nim extracts a vial out of the center of this thing, which is, I guess, the Texmexium, because it's not really clear. Brooklyn and Nim escape through a vent, but this is where the biodroid shows up, which is the thing she was hunting.
Well, and I totally missed it, but at a certain point, I guess the biodroid and Bebe merge.
Yeah, couldn't tell you why or how, but they become the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. This is the worst part, because we get introduced to this other character that drags them out of a air duct, and it's wearing all this gear that kind of looks like the biodroid, but they're like, wait, who are you? And the kid drops all his armor off, and he's like, I'm a boy, and I saved your ass. And it was a major groaner, because you put kids in a movie like this, and it just lowers the bar so much. As goofy as these characters are, they didn't need kids to make it more goofy.
I knew they were going to annoy the hell out of you.
It's so bad. It's so on the nose.
Well, and they're terribly dubbed too, like really badly dubbed.
So they kind of become friends, and now it's Nim, Brooklyn, and these two kids named 7 and 11, and they have this little junk buggy, and they're like, "Hey, come on out this way. We'll take you there." The kids are supposed to be like Newt from Aliens, is the way I get it, and
yeah, but it's never described how they got there or why they're there. But,
exactly. But this is a moment where you finally. This area that they appear in is just covered in gunhead parts, and Brooklyn mentions it. And Nim again is just like, look, it would take weeks to collect it all. It's, it's not worth it. Let's just
Well,
keep
she
pushing.
said, yeah, like it would take you days to gather it all and then months to reconstruct it, is what she says. And, somehow he manages to do it in about 4 hours.
Yeah, pretty quickly, because he's just sort of like ignores her, and then he walks into the pile of junk and he sees something flashing, and he's like, oh, it's the middle finger. And it's like, he connects it to some power supply, and he's like, oh, this means the engine works. And that's it. And we're like, okay. And then we're cutting back to this control room where this biodroid is, and it's watching monitors where it's watching what they're doing. And it's just not even entertaining if I describe this. That's what I'm trying to get to.
No, it makes no sense. It almost feels like an afterthought. I mean, for the most part, this movie is just, all the narration is solely to just kind of string some cool action sequences together.
Yeah, they try to develop a ticking clock, which is something about there's 22 hours before this supercomputer turns back on. And it's established that the supercomputer is actually just a giant nuclear reactor, this whole building they're in. And so if it...
Yeah, it's like this crazy ass like exposition dump that just, one of them's just badly dubbed going on about all this stuff for no reason.
Yes. So I think this is where basically they're standing around this pile of junk, and they've said that they've only got this much time. And Brooklyn says, you know what, we actually need Gunhed because we need to use this to fight Chiron.
And they argue with him for a while, and he just keeps saying no, and then he just does it. It's so funny. The movie's called Gunhed. We know he's going to build the Gunhed. Like, let's just get to it.
But he's also talking to Nim, and he's saying, well, look, I can't drive it. I can't pilot it, though. Nim says, okay, you fix it, you drive it. Like, she doesn't even want to drive it. I don't know why. It seems like a really good thing for them to have right now, but she's not really interested in it. And then this is where they kind of split up. We get this montage finally, and it's of the kids 7 and Brooklyn working on the Gunhed. It's great. It's not very descriptive, but you see him like strapping down fuel tanks, connecting wires, and doing some welding, all the stuff you want to see in this movie. Like, this is the stuff that you want. It's just cool. Again, it's like a lot of the other shots. It's not wide enough where you get a sense of what they're doing. It's just tight with all these things. And then the montage ends and you're wanting like a big reveal.
That's sort of the problem with this movie, is you never get the scope of it. Like, a better movie would have been the Gunheads attacking the computer. That all happens in the first, preamble of the movie. That would have been, way more entertaining and stuff. Instead, we get this one, and the miniature looks fantastic. So when you do see it. It's rip long. There are some questionable moments with it later on, like when it does the loop-de-loop through the tunnel it's going in. It does a barrel roll, basically. That makes no sense. It's not going fast enough.
But we don't get the payoff.
This comes together. Yeah, it's completely anticlimactic.
And he finally gets it powered up, and then we get the voiceover of Gunhed, which sounds cool. I love the voiceover for Gunhed. It's very fun. He puts his leather flat helmet on, and he climbs into the cockpit. And I really like the cockpit because it's all sealed in. It's got these little CRTs. It reminds me of Marv Heemeyer's Killdozer, actually. Like, it's just this like little tiny. It's great. And he just gets the thing up and running, and then it's just like punching its way through these walls and shooting its way through the doors. Like, this movie, most of the footage is the Gunhed exploding its way through a door of some point.
It's a lot of that. And then for whatever reason, it falls through a corridor, like dropping, I don't know how many floors down. But before it does it, it shoots all these cables up. I didn't quite understand what it was supposed to do. I guess it was supposed to
travels out onto this like bridge, this skywalk, and then it collapses. And as it's falling down, kind of like an elevator shaft, it shoots these cables into the ceiling to support it. But this whole thing is like a setup. Like, it looks great. Again, the miniatures looks cool. It's plummeting down. There's a real fail here because the exterior shots of it falling down this hole and sparks flying and everything. When we cut to the interior, none of those sound effects exist.
Yeah.
And it really takes you out of it. Like, it's almost like they just didn't put the tracks over. It could have so easily been. And so,
there should have been little alarms going off and flashing lights and all sorts of stuff. Instead, he's just kind of flopping around in his chair a little bit, and that's it.
Yeah, it's very disconnected. And it's such an easy fix. But I guess this is like, this whole movie is these installations of small time crunches the biodroid is up in the thing and it's dropping bombs somehow from some ceiling area that's trying to attack the gunhead because it's tracking where the gunhead is in the building. They find out that where the gunhead is suspended, it's only going to be able to hold the weight for so many more minutes or something like that. And so they have to retract it really quick. And there's also half a minute before this part of the building collapses or something. It's just all of these ticking clocks that are put on top of each other.
Isn't it like 7 or 11 is on it as well? And they're not supposed to be?
He's like stowing away. Yeah, I think it's 7 is like stowing away on outside the gunhead.
Yeah, it is 7 because at one point, Brooklyn says, get inside. He's like, I can't get there that fast or whatever. And then he says like, it's okay. I'm ready to die.
And that
it's like 7 is so
that
emo.
moment. I was like, I hope you are, because I don't want to hear you again in this damn movie. Of course he doesn't. Like, it's just so stupid. But
is this like the optical missile? Like the biodroid shoots this thing, like it's out of there, and this like energy comes off it.
It fires this like seeking missile, and it finds the gunhead, and then Gunhead's like, "Oh, there's another rocket on our way," and then Brooklyn's like, "What do we can do?" And then Gunhead's like, "It's going to be 2 minutes before it explodes in this whole part of this build." Like again, and then you have this other sense of like short stint threat, and
and again, like this weird optical missile, it just kind of it shoots some missiles to stop it or whatever, but they go flying past it. This missile is like coming down at it, and this is I think when it's still in the elevator shaft or whatever, and it just goes flying past it and nothing happens,
right?
Like at all. And it's just like what is the whole point?
Yeah, it tracks it from all the way across the building, and then it misses it by 2 feet or something. Yeah,
it just kind of zips past. It looked like the gunhead was like shooting, like interceptors on it or something, but they just go flying past it. It's just like I didn't understand what was going on.
I think it's another one of those cases where they shoot these effect shots and they have no way to tie them together in any which way, so it kind of falls a little short. There's a moment here where the gunhead pulls up onto an elevator platform, and I just thought this was funny. It's this big like cargo freight elevator, and the gunhead tank perfectly fits on it. And then you have this exterior shot of the gunhead, and a little laser shoots out of it and hits the button on the elevator and makes the elevator go up. Like it's out of all the unbelievable things, that to me is the most disbelievable thing. Just make the gunhead pull up onto the elevator and make the elevator go up. And I wouldn't have ever questioned, why does the elevator just go up automatically? Like all the other stuff is I can't believe any of it. And it's just such a weird reason to have it shoot a laser at a button to send it upstairs. I don't know. Weird choices.
Throughout. As ridiculous as it is, as terrible as the storyline is and stuff, I really just enjoyed watching this.
Oh yeah. This is actually the moment now where we learn that the whole place is heating up from the Texmexium for whatever reason. And inside is going to be 1,000 degrees, and the whole tower is going to become a nuclear reactor. So they're like, okay, well, we better get out of here sooner. Brooklyn they run out of fuel, and Brooklyn gets out of Gunhed, and Gunhead's like, there's some fuel in that depot over there. But Gunhed can't go away or can't navigate down there. So Brooklyn has to run, but Gunhead's like, you've got 2 minutes. So it's always 2 minutes. And now Brooklyn has to like sprint, which looks like a bunch of lockers. And he runs down these hallways, and he sticks these little sticky prisms, these little mirror, like multifaceted mirror things on all these columns down the wall. And it comes to a door, and then Gunhead fires his laser, and they reflect through all the prisms down the hallway to bust open the door, I guess. It's a really weird reason of why it happens. At the same time, this other tank explodes through the wall and starts shooting at Brooklyn, but it's also shooting at the prisms that are down the wall. So Brooklyn's laying on the ground, Gunhead's firing into the prisms, this other tank's firing into the prisms, and now there's this laser battle in an L-shaped hallway for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, and it's with the bioroid, right? Isn't it like with the baby bioroid? Isn't that
the bioroid's controlling this robot from the control tower, ascending the
right.
And
but meanwhile, Babe is inside of it trying to stop it. You keep getting this, like every now and then, there's like one of the eyes of this biodroid has like a bit of a screen that flickers, and suddenly you see Baby's face and then suddenly it'll be like it's trying to fight its own arm. And it's just like
So not clear. Yeah.
It just keeps coming back
Actually, just
randomly.
had written, please explain to me the subplot with the droid and the flash frames of the other soldier. I don't get it. I just don't. There's no dialogue that supports it. There's nothing, They refuel the gunhead and then they get on the way, and Brooklyn gets knocked out and he's just KO'd in the cockpit. But Gunhead's just like chatting away to him. And there's so much laser fire in this tunnel and explosions. And then this is where Gunhead does a barrel roll in the tunnel to avoid the lasers, maybe. I'm not sure. And it's a cool looking tank, and it's all shot great. All the miniature stuff looks awesome. I just don't know why, and the reasoning behind it has no.
Yeah, you summed up best. It looks great. You don't know what's going on or why.
No, and there's this whole intercut thing upstairs. I'm not even going to get into it, but you go back up in the biodroids at a console, and there's this thing asking for a keyword, and then it says the keyword input 17 years ago when the first life form was born on this island. It arrives at hour 0, and then it cuts to one of the kids, and he's watering some lettuce, like in a garden, and it just
But then he hears a noise, and he goes running upstairs on the gangplank, and that's when he sort of hide behind it, and he yells, "We have was it 30 men here or whatever?" And you just come out, and then all of a sudden you hear another noise, and he just turns and fires all his bullets down this hallway, and then we cut away.
It's so silly. But then we go back to Gunhead, and now they're out of fuel again. But this is my favorite fuel stuff because they're out of fuel. Brooklyn's this is supposed to be the dark moment, all is lost moment in the movie, and Brooklyn's kind of given up, and he's sitting outside of Gunhead. Gunhead's still powered on, and he can still talk, but apparently he doesn't have any fuel to move. That's not clear, but he's still got power. And Brooklyn just says, "You know what? I'm just going to go on by myself." And Gunhead's like, "Actually, I can detect some fuel nearby." And Brooklyn looks around, and he's like, "What?" And he points to these wooden barrels, and Gunhead's like, "Actually, I can metabolize any ethanol-based product." And then he tells Brooklyn, he's just like, "What?" And then he's like, "Brooklyn," he's like, "do not give up. And remember, the Dodgers in 55 and 88, the odds were against them too." And then Brooklyn goes and picks up a barrel of whiskey. Yeah. He is like, Gunhead's giving him this pep talk still, and he's like, we both want to beat the odds, Brooklyn." And then Brooklyn's like, "So you'll drink whiskey?" And then he just straps a whiskey barrel to the side of Gunhead. It's awesome.
It's a video game moment right there. That's how you refuel. But the thing I don't get is Gunhead is why isn't it nuclear powered or Texmexium powered? Yeah. It makes no sense. They make a point of telling these things. A nuclear submarine is good for what, 30 years or something? This thing should have a nuclear core that's all still fine and still running. And once they put it this fuel thing subplot should not exist.
And yeah, you're totally right. And I think what it is because they're just hung up on these little mini problems that need to be solved the whole way through. And so it's like, what if he's low on fuel? What if they need to stop and do this side mission?
And that would work if they didn't all happen in a 12-minute time span.
Yeah.
The movie. They're all at once in the same, and they're basically repeating themselves.
And this whole time there's a subplot where we cut back to Nim and 11, and it's just so lame. The whole purpose of these two kids is to be able to split the two main characters up and have them have a sidekick. And Nim and 11 are on this mission to climb the reactor. And so they're climbing up, and nothing fantastical happens, but we always cut back to them.
No, we don't see them for ages. Actually, there's long periods of time where they're just out of the movie.
Yeah, it's weird. And so but after the whiskey barrel fuel up, you feel like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And Gunhead throws down to Brooklyn, and he just says in his Gunhead voice, "One favor. If they take me out, I want to be on my feet."
Yeah.
And this triggers the famous line, which was from the trailer, which made me want to see this movie, is where Brooklyn's laying back in the chair in the cockpit, and he's in the cockpit, and he's like, "Gunhead, standing mode," and then you see the wireframe on the console of it transform into, again, it looks cool. It's a very weak design by the sense of it's a tank and then all it does is kind of retract its legs where the wheels are, and now it's standing on 4 legs. Like, it doesn't turn into like a biped mech or anything. It's
No, it just gets taller.
yeah, this is all it does. It still looks awesome, but it looks like something that's made just to do this. Like, in a world of battle, this doesn't seem like a great idea. Like, it's better off to just remain a tank. There's no advantage to this thing being in standing mode, really.
I mean, at least in Robotech, those jets would transform into a standing robot.
Exactly. We get we're told we're on level 389, so we're closing back in again, and we meet the machine that's called the Aerobot, which was from earlier that broke through the wall when Brooklyn was getting the fuel canisters. And now there's this big battle, this miniature battle between the Aerobot and Gunhed. And I want it to be great, but it's just cuts and shots of B-roll of the two of them shooting lasers and explode. It feels like a robot battle from Empire of Ash 3. Remember how like the battles in that were just discompartmental?
Yeah, you can't really compare this movie to Empire of Ash 3. There is like a massive budget disparity between those two. But I guess I get what you're saying. The thing is it's all too tight. It's like it's been made for television in a way, because it's all just still too tight, and because they think you need to see it on a small screen, when reality this is a feature film. This all should be big wide shots so we can see what's going on. It wouldn't work that way because of the miniatures and everything else, and I get it.
Yeah, because I was trying to think about that, and I was thinking, well, how would I fix this? And I think the way would be is, like you said, you shoot the miniatures and you shoot them further backed out on a mat, and then you do an extension on a glass painting, like to make it feel bigger and wider. And obviously they didn't have the time to do that, and so they can only back so far out. And I think they were on quite wide lenses too to make the most of these miniatures.
But there was a couple of times where they do that though, like when they first show the area, like they're walking along and it's it's a huge wide shot, and then they've got the back plate matte painting on glass done and stuff like that. It looks great. I should point out we're getting to where there's a couple of very, very questionable green screen shots too with Brooklyn. They are not good, and they jarring.
Feel like this is one of those it's like a rear projection shot. Well, they're trying to be a rear projection shot, but it's not that good. But yeah, it's him running, and he just looks like a 2D card that's being scaled on the mat. Like, well,
he's like trying to cower because the Aerobot, is there and it's shooting, and he's just kind of moving his arms and stuff, but it's so obvious he's not there. It's just bad. And there's 2 shots. Fortunately, they're quick. It's probably about 4 seconds total, but it's just like, ooh, ow, like pulls you right out.
I should also mention that this movie has a couple of incredible horizontal blind video toaster transitions in it.
I didn't catch those, so
it was probably, the resolution's pretty bad, but there are classic like Sony XM video switcher transitions in this movie. They have the horizontal blind one that like thins out and pans off, and then they have another dither one, and I'm like, they're just using all the tricks in the book from this switcher, and I've never seen that in a feature film where that, I mean, we see like the edge wipes and stuff in Star Wars. That was it's an analog process. Like, back in those days, you get the film and you, with your China marker, and you draw your diagonal across how many frames you want your transition. And then when it goes to the lab and they process it and you get it back. And this is none of that. This is totally the old switcher where you load your in and out, and you up your throttle and it fades in. And it was just so strange to see this in a feature film.
It's brand new though at the time, so but still, it's a video effect, and we all recognize it for what it is now. But at the time, it was probably pretty cool.
In classic form of this, we're cutting back and forth in this too, where there's a fight where Eleven and Nim are at the core, and I guess trying to take the Texmexium, and they're in a gunfight with the biodroid. But Eleven is for some reason glowing from the mouth, like old ass Lopan.
Yes. And I thought it was like, is Eleven being turned into a bioroid or something as well? And oh my God, I've only just realized that crystal thing is the Texmexium.
Yeah, that's
like, I guess I just popped in my head. That must be it.
Right.
I thought they were just chips, or it was their chips or whatever they were after, but no, that's obviously Texmexium.
Yeah. Well, but to your point, it's not clear.
No, not even remotely.
We have to just make the assumption. And this is also, we go back again, and Gunhead and the Aerobot are like thrashing on each other, and they smashing in through the walls. Brooklyn bails out. He's on foot, and Gunhead is getting his lunch made. And, well, it's hard to tell because there's a lot of close-up shots, but you assume by the way Brooklyn's reactions are, is that Gunhead's not doing too well.
Well, and in theory it shouldn't, because this one thing took out a whole battalion of gunheads previously, right? Like,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
so why is this one special,
Yeah.
which is also junk?
yeah. So this one shouldn't be hard.
I think it's the whiskey.
Oh yeah, could be.
I think what happens is, this is probably the most like awesome classic manga shot in the whole movie, is where Brooklyn's on the ground, Gunhead is like just getting beat up, and he finds one of Gunhead's guns, which is giant, by the way. Like, it's like 15 feet
Yeah.
long. And then he starts pulling cables out and trying to hotwire it. And then he leans it up like he's shouldering it and connects one last cable. And then he screams and fires it, and it blows the Aerobot's head
He's
off.
playing with he's not playing with cables. He's playing with wires. It's like he hot wires it right at the very end. He just taps
Yes.
two little wires together and then it shoots.
When you look at it, it reminds me of like this level of like Tetsuo with that big shoulder cannon in Akira. Like, it's just this over the top like scale.
Yeah, but the shoulder cannon with Tetsuo is way cooler.
It is. This is the live. This is exactly. This is like the live action version of it. They did this pretty well. I still love the look of this movie.
Yep.
They Nim grabs the Texmexium core, and then Brooklyn shows up, and the biodroid is there. So they're all in this core where the floating green goo is. And for whatever reason, the biodroid is just like, peace out, and then just self-detonates itself.
Well, I think the idea was Bebe made it do that, I guess. But again, we still don't know what the hell's going on there.
And it has a hand grenade on his chest, and he just pulls the pin out. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's Bebe controlling the arm, and it pulls the pin. But when it explodes in a ball. I thought it teleported, to be honest. I didn't even think it exploded.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought like that optical missile earlier, was it teleporting or something too? But it turns out that wasn't. I don't think there was any teleportation in this. But as we know, there's no psychic masters in this movie, so there couldn't be.
that would be the mix, is the Isupai mix with gun.
Yeah.
You know what? Isupai had a more clear plot than this.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I would actually argue that Empire of Ash had a more coherent plot than this did.
Oh, that hurts me because I love this movie so
Yeah.
much. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
In true fashion of this movie, now the Chiron 5 alarm starts, and a big countdown starts on what's left of the monitors in the core. And now it's 10 seconds now. So they're really trying to make you feel like there's no time. This whole thing's going to blow, and they're in the middle. They're at floor 390 in the middle of this tower, and they have 10 seconds. So they're dust. Terminator style, Gunhead wakes up and just crashes himself into what we assume is the core, because we don't know, because it's a really tight shot again.
Yep.
I don't know how he talks to him, by the way. It's all just over the top like narration. They don't have heads. I don't know.
But yeah, Gunhead crashes into it and says, "I can give you've got 15 minutes now," because the countdown stops.
Somehow he's saving the day, and I don't know how he's communicating with him. And then they don't even run. They kind of just meander. Like, they just kind of stand there for a second. It was like less enthusiastic than the guy fixing the computer in Starship Invasions.
Yeah. There's no rush here. Emphasis of time. It's just, well, we got 15 minutes, which in movie time is tons of time. So, and if I remember right, like Nim kind of comes back for a second and then goes again, and it's like,
yeah, nobody's in a rush here
No.
for whatever reason, and they've got a long way to go. But what's super funny is Brooklyn turns over his shoulder and he looks at the core, and then we cut back to Gunhead holding on to some part of the reactor, however that works.
yeah, because he says, "Okay, Brooklyn, let's rock." Just like, but Brooklyn walks away. It's like, it makes no sense.
And then we cut straight to the exterior of the really cool B-17 jet, which I loved again.
Mm-hmm.
It's flying away from the island. It's exploding. And the console says, Gunhead Battalion has completed its mission, which I guess means that after all this time, they resurrected the Gunhead. It finally got to complete its mission to destroy this.
Yeah, they destroyed the supercomputer.
So Nim is flying. She turns over her shoulder, And she looks at Brooklyn and she says, "You want to drive?" And Brooklyn smiles. He takes a bite of a carrot. Credits roll.
Yeah.
I love this movie, dude. I really like
No,
this movie. And
again, I really enjoyed it too. And there are movies that they don't have to be good. You can still love them. I am unapologetically love Tron. Love Tron, but that is a hard movie to watch nowadays. And this in a lot of the ways is the same idea. It's just but like I said, I didn't take a lot of notes because I just enjoyed watching it. It's not a good movie, but damn did I did not. I loved it.
What I would suggest is get the premium Japanese Blu-ray and watch it, because after seeing the English version, you know that the plot and the story makes no sense. And just watch it for the visual and the audio in a proper restored version of it, because it's a beautiful looking movie.
Well, I ordered a sketchy. It looks like off a website where I think they basically copy these things. And I ordered what looks like a sketchy Blu-ray of it, so it'll be interesting to see what the quality is like. But
I'm excited to hear your review on that, because $8.99 sounds a lot better than what I paid for my Japanese one.
It's just it turned into like $30 Canadian by the time I was done with the shipping. But it's too bad, because it was in the US. It would have only been like $4 shipping too. But I'll let you know how it is, because then you can get your own. But I'm really hoping that they've taken the audio track and the subtitle track from the old version and just applied them to the new one and ripped it, because it looks like this place just basically manufactures these things on the fly. So
it's probably a disc copy of the one from Internet Archive.
Oh, maybe, I don't know, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping the picture's good, but we'll see.
This is, like I said, for how popular this movie is and everything around, like you've got comic books at your house on it. There's toys on it. There was 2 video games on it, basically. And there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if they were video games made to be it. It was almost like they were rebranded, like they came out at the same time.
Probably. This movie was not a hit. There are no sequels. It was largely I think Toho expected this thing to be massive, like their next Godzilla, and it just did not happen.
Should have been, because they spent money on this.
Mm-hmm.
I like the music. I don't know why I really like the music. It is very of the time. It's very cool. The soundtrack is also a great thing to own.
No.
So, I just
can't agree. I'm sorry. I did not enjoy it. I found it just boring and annoying.
I think in the perfect world here, the right version of this movie to own is the Japanese audio dialogue 4K Blu-ray with English subtitle.
Oh,
really is
totally.
is all we want. That's.
And if that version that you had the subtitles, I'd own it too.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's just a pure Japanese only release. Mm-hmm. So would you remake it? I mean, my first thought.
Maybe. I mean, it depends how you want to describe it as remake it, because I was thinking about this. I think the better movie is essentially doing the Raid or Dread in the Gunhed from the bottom to the top of that complex.
That's exactly what this is.
Really what it should be. It should just be a long, slow battle. Like they have to stop, they recoup, they fix, they continue on. And that would have been a much better version of it, and they're losing crew along the way because they're getting killed. And
so what was interesting about this whole script, and the reason this story for Gunhed exists, is this was actually a script that was technically a potential sequel that actually was Godzilla versus Biollante.
So this was supposed to originally be a Godzilla movie?
Yes.
Wow.
I know, yeah. So what it was is that there was a contest about writing scripts, and people were taking stories and everything else. And I'm going to butcher this because I did a lot of reading on it, and I wasn't super clear on who had the right story. But essentially, there was a bunch of people mailing stories in and submitting stuff for Godzilla sequels. This was about a giant supercomputer in a big building, and Godzilla shows up to fight it. It was so out there, apparently, according to the studio, that they thought it was kind of cool, so they put it aside. They didn't want it to be a Godzilla one, but I think the idea of this big, powerful supercomputer on an island was interesting at the time. And so they set it aside, and then it came back through and got rejiggered, and then we ended up with this awesome mecha movie that it is. Maybe I could see it being a Godzilla movie some way. I still can't see that either. Like, it still has the same problems.
No, I can't at all.
I think the right version of it, like you said, like Dread or the Raid or something, you're confined to a space. And I like the idea of a bunch of junkers showing up and finding this old tank, this old mech, and fixing it up and using it to their advantage to, make their treasure hunting better or faster or whatever.
Or even they repair this thing, they get it going, and their whole rest of the movie is them trying to get it off the damn island.
Yeah, right.
And, or something like that, like what they do. And
yeah, because when the value is in the machine, then the sense of threat is shifted where it makes more sense why they're risking their lives trying to get this thing running and up and going. It's not like they're using it like a tool, like this is why they're here or what it is. Like, I love the idea of some old, dusty, decommissioned mech on some island and some guys come in and fix it up and try and remove it, and there's a supercomputer still defending the island. I mean, I don't know what the threat would be of them leaving, but still that is a cooler. The reason that this movie's good is the charm with the miniatures, and I know you don't like it, and the music, but the look and the style, I think you'd lose a lot of that too. So it's hard to say.
No, and I don't know if we can too. I think that just probably would have been a better story to tell. I think it would have been more coherent. If that, for whatever reason, they've gone to get something, they've been knocked down to the bottom level. The gunhead's there. They repair it, and because they even say at one point, like, the only way they're going to get off the island is using that gunhead. Right. Again, all of a sudden out of the blue, it's like, this is the only way we're going to survive because these biodroids are going to get us. And there's only like the one, plus those weird floating mines that I still don't understand what they do or whatever. There's a whole swarm of them at one point that go flying up, but then nothing happens with them. No. There's some weird things in here, but if they had made it, they rebuilt this thing to get it going, and hey, look, it's artificially intelligent. So now we have kind of this extra character all of a sudden. And now they're like, if the idea is they use it to get up to the top so they can fight their way out, or they want to get it out of there. I mean, an interesting spin on them trying to get it out of there so they can sell it is they're not going to want to put it into fights because they're not going to see any damage to it. And that becomes a whole stealth thing. And how do you do a stealth thing with a giant ass tank?
You could scale it down a little bit and have the machine at the bottom of the building, and there's like mutants or weird dudes or people, and they're going up collecting parts and fuel and like running them all back down. And the end sequence is them powering it up and using it to escape or something that, and then you could keep that at a smaller scale too, like, which is why Raid and Dread were, pretty small scale, but still worked really good.
Exactly.
It's all one set, right?
Or again, show us all the stuff that happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie and make it that movie.
Yeah.
That would be like, that would become like Terminator Salvation or something, I guess. But, but that kind of idea, it seems crazy to me that all the action, everything happens in the first couple of minutes. And then it's
the ultimate put on a big projector at a house party and play because it looks great. It's cool.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy it. Speaking of house parties and music, you are my Canadian friend. What do you think of the band Frontline Assembly?
Oh yeah, no, I know they had something to do with this, didn't they? I saw that and I thought, oh, cool. And then I realized I was thinking of Front 242. Frontline Assembly is all right. I mean, they are. I think they're a Vancouver band. On top of that,
they have a track called Mind Phaser.
Right. Yes.
The music video for Mind Phaser is just all clips from Gunhed.
Yes, I did stumble across that. I forgot about that.
So I thought you'd get a kick out of that, being the Canadian you are. I think this movie also got a lot bigger in its later years because it's like I built it up in my head as being this thing. I can't get this, and I want to see this so bad.
Right.
From the early mid 90s when I saw it on, like I said, on my Guyver VHS. I was just like, how can I find this? And, that would never make it to middle of nowhere, Australia, in a video rental store.
Yeah.
And finally getting a hold of, the internet and stuff starts showing up. And so now you can find things, and getting the DVD was exciting. But I consider it, an outer reel in that stage. But these days it's very popular. It's
popular, but it's still hard to come by. Like we were all set to watch this in the Internet Archive, and of course they ran into problems. So they got DDoSed, or they got taken down there for a bit anyway. So like I said, we found it the version we watched was on like something called BitChute, and God only knows what my computer contracted while I was watching that. But
And to be fair, the one on Internet Archive is not much better. Like
Yeah.
this is, we talked about it before. This is another one of those things where there's multiple instances of this movie, whether it's VCD, DVD, Internet Archive, BitChute, whatever, but none of them are actually good quality copies.
Right.
And I've seen some stuff, Toho, out of all people, are really hard on finding these and shutting them down. Like clips and stuff, if people like are doing reviews and play, I saw somebody doing a review on Latitude Zero,
Mhm.
and they were saying they were having a hard time uploading the clips because Toho was flagging it.
Wow.
So
And the
yeah,
movie's
so-
40 years old.
yeah, so they're still on it. So it's like, if they're on it so hard, why don't we have a good English version? But also, to the Alan Smithy comment, maybe the English dub is just atrocious and nobody wants to be, associated with that one. And so that's why they released the better one. But I would have paid extra for English subs, man.
Exactly.
Maybe I can find somebody on Fiverr to write a subtitle track.
There's $20. Give me some subtitles for this.
Yeah. Because I could just pull it into the Avid and run a subcap track as well.
Yep.
And then run it back out. Might be the fix. I would just tell anybody, pull up the trailer and watch it, because you got a taste of the music, you got a taste of the back, the stuff. It all looks good. It's still fun to watch, but it doesn't feel like a journey. Like you just don't enjoy.
No, that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah.
I was so excited to show this to you and talk about it, but then rewatching it again, I'm like, okay, I see, some of the honeymoon is over for me watching this again. But glad I own it. Glad it exists. It'll be something that I'll still watch from time to time, and it's a true time capsule of that period, because it just feels completely, like I said, it's Aliens and it's Terminator, and it has a look and a feel that nothing else like it did. And it spawned games and comics and other stuff, which again is rare for a movie to do.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. What is this? We got 2 Japanese left.
We've got 1 Japanese left.
Ooh, this is your pick.
Yeah. My next one.
You're going to close us out on Japan.
I am. And I'm doing it with ZRAM 2.
Surprise. I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Well, I mentioned before I might do it, and I'm just thinking, I'm just, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I need to see that movie. And you got subs and dubs on Tubi, so
I'm there for it. I love Tubi. I miss the old Tubi logo, though.
all right, man.
All right,
As
man.
always,
Anything
but
casino.
casino.
All right. Thanks, dude.
At some point, we'll have to explain that. But yeah, thanks, man.
Yep. Cheers.
Therefore, whatever appears on the television screen emerges as raw experience for those who watch it. Therefore, television is reality, and reality is less than television.